Some birthdays change everything forever. I thought my 11-year-old son Tyler's superhero-themed party would be perfect. 3 weeks of planning his dream chocolate volcano cake that actually erupted with melted chocolate, 5 close friends coming over. My sister Sandra had just gone through a bitter divorce and moved back home with Dad. I hoped this family celebration would help her heal, bring us closer together. The cake was magnificent. Tyler's eyes sparkled with pure joy. But in 30 seconds, one cruel act would shatter our family bonds and reveal who people really are when tested. Before we dive into this story, let me know in the comments where you are watching from. Please hit that like button and subscribe if this is your first time here. Trust me, what happened next will show you how one grandmother with a baseball bat can change everything. Let us get started. Planning Tyler's party took 3 weeks of careful preparation. As a single mother working 2 jobs, waitressing at Danny's Diner 5 days a week, and cleaning offices on weekends, every dollar mattered. But Tyler had been talking about this superhero birthday for months, sketching party ideas in his notebook, cutting out pictures from comic books he borrowed from the library. His vision was specific: red, blue, and gold decorations everywhere. Costumes for everyone who wanted them. Most importantly, a chocolate volcano cake that would actually erupt with melted chocolate when we lit the candles. I spent hours researching bakeries, finally finding one that could create Tyler's dream. The consultation alone cost $60. The final cake price made me gulp, but seeing Tyler's drawing taped to their display case, I knew I had to make it happen. I canceled my plan to buy a desperately needed winter coat. My old one had holes in both elbows, but Tyler's happiness mattered more than my comfort. Working extra shifts, saving every tip, I managed to gather enough money by the second week of October. The guest list caused some anxiety for Tyler. He was shy at school, struggled to make friends easily. Kids his age seemed to move in established groups that he never quite fit into. After much discussion, we settled on 5 classmates he felt comfortable with plus family. Sandra, my younger sister, and Dad would join us. Sandra's divorce from Marcus had been brutal. 8 years of marriage ended when she discovered his gambling addiction had drained their savings and loaded them with debt she never knew existed. She moved back to our hometown 3 months ago, staying with our father Robert in the house where we grew up. The transition hit her hard. Sandra had always been the golden child, the one everything came easily to, the one Dad favored without hiding it. Her recent struggles showed a different side. She seemed brittle, quick to anger, making sharp comments about everyone around her. But I hoped having Tyler's party to focus on might lift her spirits. Family gatherings used to bring out the best in all of us. Saturday afternoon arrived crisp and clear, perfect October weather. I had transformed our small apartment backyard into superhero headquarters, using streamers, balloons, and cardboard cutouts Tyler and I made together. He changed costumes 3 times before the first guest arrived, settling on a cape combination that made him feel invincible. Sandra arrived 30 minutes early, carrying an expensive action figure still in its collector packaging. She seemed genuinely happy, complimenting our decorations and helping arrange party favors on the picnic table I borrowed from my neighbor Mrs. Chen. For the first hour, everything felt normal. Sandra laughed at Tyler's jokes, helped organize the treasure hunt we had planned, even participated in the superhero training obstacle course. Dad showed up with Sandra, having given her a ride from his place. At 58, Robert still carried himself with the confidence that had made him successful in construction management. But his obvious favoritism toward Sandra had shaped our family dynamics my entire life. He hugged Tyler warmly, admired our setup, but spent most of his time talking with Sandra, checking on her emotional state, making sure she felt included and comfortable. Tyler's friends arrived gradually. Marcus, a quiet boy who loved drawing. Jamie, the only girl brave enough to come to a party with mostly boys. Kevin and Danny, twins who brought energy and laughter. Tommy, Tyler's closest friend from school. Watching Tyler's confidence grow as his friends enjoyed the activities made all my preparation worthwhile. The games went perfectly. Superhero training course, villain capture relay, comic book trivia, that Tyler dominated with shy pride. Sandra participated enthusiastically, seeming genuinely engaged with the kids' excitement. Dad took pictures, told stories about superheroes from his childhood, made everyone laugh with his dramatic villain voice during role-playing games. Then came the moment Tyler had been anticipating for weeks. I brought out the cake, and silence fell over the backyard. The chocolate volcano stood 18 inches tall, covered in rich brown frosting that looked exactly like rock formations. Hidden inside, melted chocolate waited to erupt when we lit the special candles. Tyler's face transformed with pure wonder, his eyes reflecting the golden afternoon light. The other kids gathered around, awed by the cake's magnificence. Tyler stood at the head of the table wearing his favorite cape, completely absorbed in the moment he had dreamed about for months. Sandra and Dad flanked the group cameras ready. Everything seemed perfect, magical, even exactly what Tyler deserved. Tyler cleared his throat to make a little speech, something he had been practicing. His voice carried clearly across our small gathering. "This is the best birthday ever. Thank you, Mom, for making everything so special. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I feel like a real superhero today." But I noticed Sandra's expression shifting during Tyler's moment of pure happiness. Her smile seemed forced, her eyes narrowed slightly as she watched everyone's attention focus completely on Tyler. She took a large sip from her wine glass, then another. Her encouraging nods became mechanical, distracted. The mood shift started subtly. As we prepared for the cake ceremony, Sandra made her first comment. "Well, someone's certainly being spoiled today. My mother never did anything like this for us." She laughed, but the edge in her voice was unmistakable. Dad immediately defended our celebration. "Times were different then, Sandra. Joanna's doing a wonderful thing for Tyler." But his tone suggested he was trying to manage Sandra's mood rather than genuinely supporting our party. Sandra poured herself another glass of wine, her third since arriving. Her voice grew louder as she continued. "I just think kids today get too much handed to them. They do not learn to appreciate anything when everything is made special." She gestured broadly at our decorations, her movement slightly unsteady. I felt my stomach tighten. Tyler was standing right there, hearing every word. His excited expression began to cloud with confusion. This was supposed to be his moment, his special day, but Sandra was turning attention toward her own grievances. "Sandra," I said quietly, "maybe we can talk about this later. Right now, let us focus on Tyler's birthday." Her response came sharp and quick. "Oh, I am sorry. I forgot we are not allowed to have opinions in Joanna's perfect little family." The sarcasm dripped from her words, and Tyler took a small step closer to me. Dad stepped in with his usual pattern. "Sandra's going through a tough time right now, Joanna. Maybe we can all be a little more understanding." His automatic defense of Sandra, regardless of her behavior, was something I had witnessed my entire life. Tyler looked up at me with worried eyes. "Mom, is Aunt Sandra mad at me?" The innocence in his question broke my heart. Here was my sweet boy worried that he had somehow caused adult tensions on his own birthday. "No, sweetheart," I assured him, stroking his hair. "You have not done anything wrong. This is your special day." But I could feel the party's joyful atmosphere evaporating as Sandra's mood darkened further. Sandra overheard Tyler's question and seemed to realize her words were affecting him. Instead of apologizing, she doubled down. "Nobody's mad, Tyler. I just think your mom works too hard to give you things you do not really need. When I was your age, we were grateful for a homemade cake and maybe one present." The comparison stung because I knew the truth. Sandra had received elaborate parties, expensive gifts, and constant attention throughout her childhood. Dad had always made sure she got everything she wanted, often at the expense of what I needed. Now she was rewriting history to make herself seem like the victim. Tyler's friends began noticing the adult tension. Their excited chatter quieted as they sensed something was wrong. Jamie moved closer to Marcus, seeking safety in numbers. The twins exchanged glances that showed they were picking up on the uncomfortable energy. I decided to redirect everyone's attention back to the celebration. "All right, birthday boy, Time to make your wish and light the volcano. I guided Tyler to his position in front of the magnificent cake, hoping to recapture the magical moment we had been building toward. Tyler closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and leaned forward over the cake to blow out the candles. His face was peaceful, concentrated, full of 11-year-old hope and wonder. The chocolate volcano stood ready to erupt, just like he had dreamed. That's when Sandra struck. Without warning, without any indication of what was coming, she grabbed Tyler's head with both hands and shoved his face down hard into the center of the cake. The impact was violent, deliberate, cruel. Tyler's scream pierced the afternoon air as hot chocolate lava covered his face and neck, the heated mixture burning his delicate skin. Chaos erupted instantly. Tyler pulled back chocolate and frosting covering his entire face, hot liquid dripping down his neck and under his costume. His screams were not just from physical pain, but from complete shock and betrayal. The other children stood frozen, their faces reflecting horror at what they had just witnessed. I lunged forward, pulling Tyler into my arms, frantically wiping the hot chocolate from his face and neck. "Get towels!" I shouted to anyone who would listen. "Cold water now!" Tyler clung to me, sobbing, his birthday completely shattered in 30 seconds of inexplicable cruelty. Sandra stepped back, actually laughing. "Oh, come on, it is just a joke. Kids love getting messy. I thought he would think it was funny." Her words rang hollow, defensive, completely disconnected from the reality of Tyler's pain and terror. "Are you insane?" I screamed at her, not caring who heard. "He's burned, you just ruined his entire birthday." Tyler's neck showed red marks where the hot chocolate had scalded him. His sobs grew louder as the reality of what happened sank in. Tyler broke away from me and ran toward the house, pushing past everyone, his cape trailing behind him. I heard the bathroom door slam, then the sound of the lock clicking. My heart shattered, knowing he was hiding, probably looking at his injured face in the mirror, trying to understand why someone he trusted had hurt him so deliberately. The party guests' parents began arriving early, drawn by phone calls from their confused and frightened children. I had to explain over and over what had happened, watching their faces change from concern to outrage as they understood that an adult had deliberately hurt a child at his own birthday party. Sandra continued her defensive stance, now claiming that Tyler was overreacting. "It was just cake, I barely pushed him. Joanna always makes everything dramatic." Her protests grew more shrill as each parent gathered their child and left, cutting the celebration short. Dad stood in stunned silence, clearly struggling to process what he had witnessed. When I demanded he say something, anything to address Sandra's behavior, he fumbled for words. I do not understand what happened exactly. Maybe Sandra did not mean." His inability to immediately condemn what Sandra had done told me everything I needed to know about where his loyalties lay, even when faced with his grandson's pain and trauma. By evening, the last party guest had left with their concerned parents. Tyler remained locked in the bathroom, refusing to come out despite my gentle pleading. Through the door, I could hear his quiet crying, broken occasionally by shuddering breaths that revealed the depth of his emotional wounds. Sandra packed up the expensive action figure she had brought, making a dramatic show of leaving. "Well, I can see I am not welcome here anymore. I was just trying to have fun with Tyler, but apparently everything I do is wrong in this family." Her victim narrative was so disconnected from reality that I wondered if she actually believed her own words. Dad followed Sandra to her car, spending 20 minutes in quiet conversation with her before returning to help me clean up the destroyed party. His first words revealed everything about his priorities. "Sandra is really upset, Joanna. She feels terrible about what happened, but she thinks you overreacted." "She thinks I overreacted." I stopped picking up scattered decorations to stare at him. "Dad, she deliberately shoved Tyler's face into hot cake batter. He has burns on his neck. She ruined his birthday, traumatized him, and humiliated him in front of his friends." Dad's response floored me. "Accidents happen, Joanna. Sandra's been under tremendous stress with the divorce. Maybe she just got carried away trying to be fun. You know how she is?" Yes, I did know how Sandra was. I knew about her pattern of jealousy, her inability to let others have attention, her history of cruel behavior that was always excused by the adults around her. But hearing my father defend her actions even after witnessing Tyler's pain revealed the depth of dysfunction in our family. "This was not an accident," I said firmly. "She made a choice to hurt Tyler, and now you are making a choice to protect her instead of your grandson." Dad's jaw tightened. "You need to be more understanding, Joanna. Sandra needs our support right now, not more people attacking her. Maybe if you called her tomorrow and apologized for losing your temper, we could work this out." Apologized. He wanted me to apologize to Sandra for being upset that she had hurt Tyler. The absurdity of his request made me realize how deeply embedded his favoritism had become. Sandra could do no wrong in his eyes regardless of the evidence or the impact on others. I spent that night lying awake listening to Tyler toss and turn in his room next door. When he finally fell asleep around midnight, his breathing was still hitched from crying. The red marks on his neck had faded slightly, but the emotional damage would last much longer. Sunday morning brought text messages from Sandra, each one further removed from reality than the last. "I hope you are happy," read the first one. "Dad is furious with me because you made such a big deal about nothing." The second message was more direct. "Tyler is fine. Kids get hurt all the time. You are teaching him to be weak by babying him like this." When Dad called Sunday afternoon, his tone was stern, authoritative. "Joanna, this has gone far enough. Sandra is devastated. She barely slept last night crying about how the family is turning against her. I think you owe her an apology." "I owe her an apology." I repeated his words to make sure I heard correctly. "Yes, you embarrassed her in front of everyone yesterday. She was just trying to participate in Tyler's party, and you made her feel like a monster. She needs support right now, not more people attacking her." The conversation revealed a lifetime pattern I had been too young to recognize fully before. Sandra's needs always came first. Sandra's feelings always mattered more. Sandra's perspective always deserved consideration and defense, regardless of how her actions affected other people. I told Dad I needed time to think, but inside, I was already making decisions. Tyler deserved protection from people who would hurt him, even if those people were family. I deserved relationships based on mutual respect, not on my willingness to enable harmful behavior. That evening, I made a decision that felt both terrifying and liberating. I called Grandma Rose. 78-year-old Rose Martinez had been the backbone of our family for decades. Dad's mother, Tyler's great-grandmother, she possessed a combination of fierce love and unwavering moral clarity that had guided 3 generations. If anyone could help me navigate this situation, it was her. "Grandma Rose," I said when she answered, "I need to tell you what happened at Tyler's party yesterday." Her voice, still strong despite her age, carried immediate concern. "What happened, sweetheart? Is Tyler all right?" I recounted the entire story from Sandra's mood shift through Dad's defense of her actions. Grandma Rose listened without interrupting, occasionally making small sounds that indicated her growing displeasure. When I finished, silence stretched between us for several long moments. Finally, she spoke, her voice carrying a coldness I had rarely heard. "Sandra did what to Tyler?" She shoved his face into the cake, Grandma. The hot chocolate burned his neck. She ruined his whole birthday, and Dad is defending her. Another pause. "And your father wants you to apologize." "Yes. He says Sandra is going through a hard time and needs family support." "I see." Grandma Rose's tone had shifted into something I recognized from childhood when she was preparing to address serious misbehavior. "Joanna, I want you to know that what Sandra did was completely unacceptable. What your father is doing now is also unacceptable. That little boy is innocent in this situation." Relief flooded through me. Finally, someone in my family was acknowledging reality, validating my perception of events. "I am going to handle this," Grandma Rose continued. "Your father has forgotten some important lessons about protecting children. Sandra has been enabled in her selfishness for too long. This ends now. What are you going to do, Grandma? I am going to remind them both about family values and priorities. And I am going to make sure Tyler knows he has people in this family who will always protect him. Monday morning, Grandma Rose drove her 20-year-old Buick to Dad's house, arriving unannounced at 8:30 a.m. In her passenger seat lay a wooden baseball bat that had belonged to my grandfather, her deceased husband of 52 years. She did not bring the bat to threaten anyone with violence. Grandma Rose had served in the Women's Army Corps during the Korean War and understood the difference between props and weapons. The bat was a symbol, a reminder of the man who had taught our family about honor, responsibility, and protecting those who could not protect themselves. Dad answered the door in his bathrobe, surprised to see his mother standing on his front porch holding a baseball bat. "Mom, what are you doing here? Is everything all right?" "No, Robert. Everything is not all right. We need to have a conversation about your grandson and your daughter." Sandra appeared behind Dad wearing pajamas and a defensive expression. "Oh, great. Now Joanna has called in reinforcements. I suppose you are here to lecture me too." Grandma Rose pushed past both of them into the living room, setting the bat prominently against the coffee table. "Sit down, both of you. We are going to discuss what happened at Tyler's birthday party, and we are going to establish some new ground rules for this family." Dad tried to take control of the situation. "Mom, I think there's been some misunderstanding about Saturday. Sandra was just trying to have fun with Tyler. Maybe things got a little out of hand, but—" "Stop." Grandma Rose's command cut through his explanation. "Robert, I raised you better than this. I taught you that protecting children comes before protecting adult feelings. I taught you that actions have consequences. What happened to those lessons?" Sandra attempted to interrupt with her victim narrative. "Grandma Rose, you do not understand how Joanna reacted. She completely overreacted to a harmless joke. Tyler was not really hurt. She made the whole thing into a huge drama." Grandma Rose turned toward Sandra with a look that would have frozen fire. "Sandra Marie, you are 28 years old. You deliberately hurt an 11-year-old child at his birthday party. You burned him with hot food. You traumatized him in front of his friends. And instead of apologizing, you are making excuses and blaming his mother for protecting him." The room fell silent. Grandma Rose had a way of stating facts that made arguments seem ridiculous. She continued, her voice growing stronger. "I have watched this family enable your selfish behavior for years, Sandra. Your father has protected you from consequences, made excuses for you, and prioritized your comfort over everyone else's well-being. That pattern ends today." Dad shifted uncomfortably. "Mom, Sandra's been through a lot with her divorce. She needs support right now, not more people attacking her." "Support?" Grandma Rose's voice rose. "Robert, your grandson needed support on Saturday. He needed the adults in his life to protect him from cruelty. Instead, you chose to defend the person who hurt him. You asked his mother to apologize for being upset that her child was burned and humiliated." Sandra tried a different approach. "I made a mistake, okay? But Joanna turned it into this huge thing instead of just letting it go. I said I was sorry." "No, Sandra. You did not say you were sorry. You said Tyler was overreacting. You said Joanna was being dramatic. You took no responsibility for your choices." Grandma Rose stood up, retrieving the baseball bat from the coffee table. Both Dad and Sandra tensed, misunderstanding her intention. "This bat belonged to your grandfather," she said, holding it with reverence. "He taught me that family means protecting each other, especially the vulnerable ones. He taught me that love without accountability is not really love at all." She set the bat back down and fixed both of them with a stare that commanded attention. "Here is what is going to happen. Sandra, you are going to call Joanna today and give Tyler a genuine apology. Not an excuse, not a justification, but an acknowledgement that you hurt him and that you were wrong. You are also going to get counseling to address your anger and jealousy issues." Sandra started to protest. "I do not need—" "Yes, you do need counseling. Your divorce is not an excuse for hurting children. Your emotional problems are not Tyler's responsibility to endure. Grandma Rose turned to Dad. Robert, you are going to apologize to both Joanna and Tyler for failing to protect them. You are going to stop making excuses for Sandra's behavior, and you are going to learn the difference between supporting someone and enabling them. Dad's face reddened. Mom, you cannot just come into my house and start making demands. I can and I am. Because someone in this family needs to prioritize that little boy's well-being over Sandra's feelings. If you choose to continue defending her harmful behavior, you will lose your relationship with Tyler and Joanna, and you will lose my respect permanently. The threat was not idle. Everyone in the room understood that Grandma Rose did not make empty statements. Her word carried weight because she had always followed through on her commitments. Sandra broke down crying, but these tears were different from her usual manipulation. I know I messed up, okay? I was angry and jealous and I took it out on Tyler. I hate myself for it. Hating yourself is not enough, Grandma Rose replied. You need to make amends and change your behavior. Tyler deserves better from his family. Dad finally seemed to grasp the seriousness of the situation. What do you want me to do, Mom? I want you to remember that being a grandfather means protecting your grandson from everyone who might hurt him, even when that person is your daughter. I want you to apologize for prioritizing Sandra's comfort over Tyler's safety, and I want you to support Joanna instead of undermining her. The conversation continued for 2 hours. By the end, both Sandra and Dad had committed to specific actions, genuine apologies, family counseling, and a complete change in how they approached conflict resolution. Grandma Rose left the bat on their coffee table as a reminder of the values they had temporarily forgotten. Sandra called me that afternoon, her voice shaky but sincere. Joanna, I need to talk to you about Saturday. I know I hurt Tyler and I know I was wrong. There is no excuse for what I did. The conversation that followed was the first honest discussion Sandra and I had shared in years. She admitted to feeling jealous of my relationship with Tyler, resentful of the attention he received, and angry about her own life falling apart. None of these feelings justified her actions, but acknowledging them was a first step. I want to apologize to Tyler personally, she said, but I understand if you do not want me around him right now. We arranged for Sandra to write Tyler a letter first, giving him time to process her apology without pressure to respond immediately. The letter, when it arrived, was thoughtful and genuine, taking full responsibility without making excuses. Dad's apology came the next day. He drove to our apartment bringing flowers for me and a new superhero comic for Tyler. I was wrong, he said simply. I should have protected Tyler instead of defending Sandra. I am sorry I failed both of you. Tyler's healing process took longer than the adults' apologies. He was confused by the family drama, hurt by Sandra's cruelty, and uncertain whether he could trust family gatherings in the future. But with patience and reassurance, he began to understand that Sandra's behavior was about her problems, not about anything he had done wrong. Grandma Rose visited us frequently during this period, becoming Tyler's strongest advocate and support system. She helped him process his feelings, validated his right to feel hurt and angry, and assured him that real family members protect each other. 3 weeks later, we held a second birthday celebration for Tyler, just him, me, and Grandma Rose. We made a simple chocolate cake together decorated with his favorite superheroes. When Tyler blew out the candles, his face radiated pure joy again. Sandra began attending therapy sessions, working on her anger management and jealousy issues. The process was difficult, requiring her to confront patterns of behavior she had developed over decades. But she committed to the work, understanding that her relationship with family depended on genuine change. Dad also started counseling, exploring his own patterns of favoritism and conflict avoidance. Learning to set boundaries with Sandra while still supporting her healthy choices became an ongoing process for him. Family dinners resumed slowly, with clear agreements about respectful behavior and consequences for violations. Tyler gradually became comfortable around Sandra again, though their relationship would never return to its previous innocent trust. Months later, Tyler told me that Grandma Rose had taught him something important. She said that real family members protect each other, especially when someone is smaller or needs help. And if someone in your family hurts you, other family members should stand up for you. The wisdom in his words reflected the deeper lesson we had all learned. Family relationships require more than blood connections or shared history. They require mutual respect, accountability, and a commitment to each other's well-being. Sandra's genuine efforts to change her behavior gradually rebuilt trust within our family. She learned to manage her jealousy, communicate her feelings appropriately, and participate in family events without creating drama. The process took over a year, but her commitment to growth was evident. Dad transformed from enabler to supporter, learning to balance compassion for Sandra's struggles with protection for Tyler's needs. His relationship with Tyler grew stronger as he proved himself trustworthy again. But the real hero of this story remained Grandma Rose, who understood that sometimes family members need firm boundaries more than gentle understanding. Her intervention saved our family from a cycle of dysfunction that could have lasted generations. Tyler, now 12, has grown more confident and resilient through this experience. He learned that some adults make serious mistakes, but other adults will always fight to protect him. He learned that standing up for what is right sometimes requires courage, but that courage is worth it when it protects people you love. Our family gatherings now include honest conversations about feelings, clear expectations for behavior, and immediate consequences for anyone who violates our agreements. Tyler participates in these discussions, understanding that his voice and his safety matter. Looking back, I realize that Sandra's cruel act at Tyler's party was a catalyst for necessary changes in our family dynamics. Without that moment of crisis, we might have continued enabling harmful patterns for years. The baseball bat still sits in Dad's living room, a reminder of the values that should guide all our interactions. Grandma Rose visits regularly, continuing to be Tyler's fierce protector and our family's moral compass. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I had accepted Dad's demand that I apologize to Sandra, if I had enabled her behavior like everyone else. Tyler might have learned that his feelings did not matter, that family loyalty meant accepting abuse, that speaking up for yourself was wrong. Instead, he learned that he deserves protection, respect, and genuine love from his family. He learned that real strength sometimes means standing up to people you care about when they are hurting others. He learned that change is possible when people commit to doing better. The lesson that emerged from our family crisis goes beyond conflict resolution or boundary setting. It reveals a fundamental truth about love and relationships. True love protects. True love holds people accountable. True love prioritizes the well-being of vulnerable individuals over the comfort of those who cause harm. Family should be a safe place where children can grow, celebrate, and trust that the adults around them will protect their innocence and joy. When family becomes a source of pain or trauma, someone must have the courage to demand change. Tyler's birthday taught us all that sometimes the people we love most need us to love them enough to say no, to set limits, to require better behavior. Sandra needed someone to stop enabling her harmful choices. Dad needed someone to challenge his favoritism. Tyler needed someone to fight for his right to safety and happiness. What started as the worst day in Tyler's young life became the beginning of our healthiest family relationships. But it required one brave grandmother with a baseball bat and the wisdom to know that protecting children always comes first. Have you ever had to stand up to family members when they crossed important boundaries? How did you handle the situation when protecting someone you loved meant confronting someone else you loved? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let me know how you balance family loyalty with personal safety. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like and subscribe for more real-life experiences about family relationships and finding strength in difficult situations. Share this with anyone who might need to hear that standing up for what is right is always worth it, even when it is scary. Thank you for listening, and remember that you always deserve to be treated with respect and kindness, especially by the people who claim to love you.